How fun is this? Did you guys have a good week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You glad you came?
Yes.
That was weak. You glad you came?
Yeah.
Well, the fun part about today is this is not the end. It's just the new beginning of whatever it is that you intend, right? Because this is where you make new commitments. The thing that we know is that huge commitments, life-changing commitments are made at events. You coming here was the start. You finishing here and taking that into the future is the beginning. So what I'm excited about is to be a part of that. And I want to just kind of put some exclamation points on some of the stuff that you've done. I made this really short. I don't think it's going to go long. I mean, we'll see how it flows. But I really wanted to just kind of put a punctuation mark after everything you've sat through, because I know the power of where we are. Gene and Susan, we've got, first of all, here in Puerto Rico, where you've been sitting and some of the people you've met, we've got so much proof of concept, right? It's not a question of whether it's going to work. Hey, I'm thinking maybe it might. I mean, when you joined, it was that, right? It was really a function of maybe. I mean, you had faith, yeah, a little bit of hope, right? It was just hoping that it was going to really turn out the way it was. And now it's like it's obvious, and it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's dozens and hundreds of people that are whose lives have been touched, whose lives have been changed, etc. So what we really have now is proof of concept, and we get a chance to play the game at a very high level. And just like at one time the 4-minute mile hadn't been broken, it was impossible, we have things in front of us that are no longer impossible. We already know what that elevation could be. We believe it's bigger because the trajectory sure looks like it's way bigger, but we absolutely know what's possible compared to where we are today. So the shortest distance between where we are and where we want to be is a straight line. So the more we can stay on that track, the less we get off track, the less we are, squirrel factor and chasing bright shiny objects, the more we can stay to that course, the faster we can get there. And a lot of this week has just been about that. How do we just get defined? Casey was saying, instead of having 1 out of 100 join you, I mean, you can get it to where it's 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5, right? And whatever the numbers are, the good news is the numbers support your success no matter what, because even if you're not good yet, you will be good. And it's just a matter of time and practice, rehearsal, commitment. Those are the things that will get you there. But the reality is, if you're not good now, you will be, as long as that's what you intend and that's where you stay committed. And so if it's 1 out of 100 now, Ron used to say all the time, it's like, I don't care if you're so good, you're getting 1 out of 10, and I'm so bad, I'm getting 1 out of 100. I'll still beat you, because while you're making 10 calls, I'm going to be making 100. I'm still going to kill you, right? So the good news is, no matter where you are today in your skill levels, the amount of success you can have is totally dictated by you. And I was talking to a guy, and we were talking about real estate, not this part of the business. And he said, I really have no room for people that don't succeed in real estate. He said, I have no room for it. And I was thinking, no empathy at all. But what he said that was so right on is, it's purely a numbers game. If you're not going to do what it takes, you're not going to succeed. If you do what it takes, you will succeed. Anybody can succeed. So it's a matter of, if you're not succeeding, it's because you're not doing it. And really, we have a chance to have maybe better skills. Right now, we're getting more confidence. That's what I loved about what you were saying, Gene, is it tweaks our brains. It really puts us in a place where we walk in confidently knowing that we've got the coolest company that's ever existed. And when when I talk about that, I mean, we go back the same length of time. I forget what year you got into real estate, but I go back to 1976, around the space. 1982, got really serious about real estate and started doing a lot there. So I've watched the advent of right down the street, Century 21, and all these polyester gold coats that were being worn. I watched the advent of the Remax, rise, and I won't say fall, but certainly their slow down, when then the rise of KW, when I was the first speaker for Gary Keller's first convention in, I believe it was San Antonio, in 1989. The company had at that time 350 agents. So I've watched the beginnings and the rise and the not. And I can tell you, there's never been anything like this. I'm sure you don't need me to verify it. So let's go to work on some things. I only have three parts to this, and I'm going to talk about 3 things. Number 1 is just thinking bigger. As you think, so you shall become. The book, the little teeny book called As a Man Thinketh. I mean, little teeny book. It's a 20-minute read, right? Awesome book to have in your library, but thinking big is a big part of it. Next, I hung around with a guy named Jim Rohn. When I was 18, I got started in the seminar business with him. Another guy named Tony Robbins, big gawky kid, 17 years old. We had a chance to play together for a few years, but what Rohn always said was take action, and the word that goes along with action is massive action. So we're going to have that piece. And then the last part is live large. And if you can be in this environment for these days that you've been here, looking at that, and you can't get a picture of living large, as my friend John Morrison says, your wood's wet. Your wood's wet, right? For sure. Which is a Texas thing and has nothing to do with Puerto Rico, but it still works.
If that doesn't fire you up.
If that doesn't fire you up. Yeah, but I mean, really, we're in a great place. So let's talk about thinking big, because to me, this is where it all starts. It comes down to the way we think impacts the actions we take, the results we'll get. It impacts all of it, because in the end, 90% of our success will be mindset. Very little of it is skill-based. I'm sorry. I know there is skills involved, but less of it is skills-based. Look at this guy coming in. Is skills-based. Most of it is mindset. How important is mindset in success?
Not at all.
Ah! How important is mindset to success? I'm going to catch you coming out the other side. Right. Really important. 90%, baby. So what we also know is that nothing changes until you change. And where do you change? Not your clothes. It happens all here, right? It comes to how do we start thinking different, changing how we think, because how we think will absolutely change what we see, the opportunities available to us. Are they available to all of us all the time? Absolutely. But how we think will change our ability to see them. The one thing I've said about people like Glenn Sanford, for example, since we all have that experience, the one thing about Glenn that's so powerful, and I've been witnessing it as I've gotten a chance to work with him, we were just in the world together out there like 4 minutes before I started. And Glenn has an awareness of things that most people don't connect. So it's not that he's smarter, it's that his awareness is larger and more encompassing. And what it allows him to do is connect dots that most people don't see. There's things in front of us, possibilities that are here. Right here's another one, and we're not seeing it. And yet it's there every single day. What's really true is the best and the worst are both equally present all times. The worst and the best are always there, and the question is, where's your focus? And if your focus is on the things that really can change the intention of success that you want, then that's what you'll have, because nothing changes until you change, and it's going to happen here. So the question really becomes, what's your inner voice saying? What's happening inside with regards to the words we use, the description we have of things? We're doing it every morning, 7 a.m. Eastern. We're doing it every morning Clubhouse. Actually, we're doing two things every day I'm going to bring you all into. Doing it every morning Clubhouse. 7 a.m. East Coast here in Puerto Rico, 8 o'clock, which is almost reasonable. And then not reasonable, but we have a lot of West Coasters joining us at 4 a.m. in the morning. Okay? Because it's really a powerful thing and people are getting from it. So what's going on? Today we were talking about where are we holding ourselves back? What's the inner voice saying? It was very interesting to hear where people hold themselves back. The inner words, even the questions. You know, I really struggle with blah, blah, blah. There you go. You just said it. I really struggle. How about in the past I've had challenges with? In the current, I'm moving forward. How about the words we say empower everything? They are the ones that energize the reality that we experience. So they're either enforcing what we are going to do, or they're enforcing why we can't do it. So the words we're saying are absolutely critical to us, and we've got to start looking at every little piece. Because I've got four co-hosts with me, including our own Russ Collio. Even I'm being taxed with stop using the word try, because every so often it flips right through my conversation. Or but, right? It's amazing just the simplicity of the words that we become used to using, our habitual words that then tell a story that is not the story we want. And yet we're using them and we don't think there's anything.
Oh, you okay? Hey. Did you get that? Oh, darn it.
He's trying to take your shine.
Onstage.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Okay, when you come out of there, watch. Oh, you're not going there. I was going to say, watch that first step because it's a Lulu. We first started coming here, and the first thing we noticed is that bathroom door is like right there. You come out, and you're like, what? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so where was I?
Trying, but.
Oh, yeah. So it's the words we use. What are we saying to ourselves? What are the things that we're the words that we're using to describe the reality that we either have or the one we intend, right? And if we're using the words that have been our habitual words, they're probably a part of why we're held back. They're probably a part of the past. They come from hurt. They come from fear. They come from places that are not the ones we want to have. And I was talking this morning, and I had a really interesting guy, this Glenn Horschauer, I think is his name, Hirschauer, something like that. Brilliant man. And we were talking about how we latch on to the story of the past and then carry it out. And I said, I remember being in an airport a few years back when I was traveling a lot, and there was a guy whose plane had just been canceled. And he's well-dressed, probably 60 plus years old. And Gene, you've been in the airports when the planes get canceled. You've been on a plane that's been canceled. And this guy goes ballistic. And he's pounding like a little boy. You've got to get me there. You've got to get me there. And I'm like, he looks like a little 5-year-old. And guess who got stuck somewhere way back in history and has never cleaned that stuff up? And that's his reality. And his automatic, his autopilot goes there instead of going to empowerment. How can I get out of here? What can I do to get on the next plane, right? So I think we really got to look at how we're talking to ourselves, because what we say to ourselves is critical. I brought this diagram out. I love this. To me, it's always been a very important part of the discussion, because there was a moment in time when I got this. So there's two parts here. There's the vision and the thinking. How big are you thinking? What's your vision for your life, for your business, for whatever? How big are you thinking? And then down here is time and energy. And what was interesting is, I've always said, and we always say that, work harder, not smarter. We have all these cliche phrases that we use that talk about it's not how long we work, it's not how hard we work, it's about, what we do with the time that we've got, right? It's not the things you put in the time, or it's the things you put in the time, not the time that you put in. So I want you to go here real quickly with me, because there's an interesting thing that happens here, and that is how much time and energy does it take to be successful, and how much time and energy is it different to be a failure? And the answer is it's identical. So what we discover is if we think small and have a small goal, and here's the path we're going to go on from where we are today, if that's our path along there, how inspired am I? Hey, let's have a nice little business. I'd like to get like 4 or 5 people in my organization, if that's all it is. Or if I just want to sell a few homes a year. If I could just sell a few homes a year, right? So how inspired am I? How inspired are the people that I'm going to attract to me, including clients? How attractive am I to somebody I want to bring into my organization who wants to be with a small thinker? I won't say a loser because that would be unfair, but somebody who's thinking small. On the other hand, the very same thing, I think bigger, I go after my big, hairy, audacious goal, this crazy thing of having 1 million people in the organization, having 50, 60, 70, what's the number now for your vision for your organization? 50,000? 100,000?
7,000 in the 7 levels by 2026.
Okay, so that's that. You get that? So here's my question. By what year? 27?
2026.
26. Where will you be in relation to that in 26? Where's your thought? Wow, if I could just have like 3,000, if I could just have 4,000, nothing wrong with that. It'd be massive. But what's the difference between that thinking and that thinking? Because what you realize is the same date, December 31st, 26. Same date. The only difference is, are we thinking small or are we thinking large? Because either way, it's the same amount of time. And the reason I wanted to bring that to you is because so many of us think we got to work harder, and it's really not. It's about working smarter. What I love about Brent's story is that Brent was constantly saying, how many calls can I make on a Friday afternoon after golf? He had his priorities very clear. After golf. Right? So what we've got to do is figure out what are we going to put into the hours that we're willing to put into this? What are the things that we're going to really do that are going to maximize it? Because it's not all the effort. It's these very few short things. And I had a teacher that gave me some real wisdom in, 2004? I don't know if you ever met, Gene, did you ever meet Dr. Fred Gross?
I've seen
He was involved in a lot of the Keller Williams world and all that. Fred Gross said to me one day, he said, I want you to act as if you're constantly going on vacation. And I said, I don't understand that. He said, when you leave on vacation, how effective are you? And I said, tell me again. Ask me again. He said, if you're leaving on Friday, how efficient and effective are you this week? And I said, dead on, spot on, cancel other things that are wastes of time. You know, somebody calls and says, hey, let's have a drink. Love to, dude. I love you, but not this week, right? Because I'm leaving on Friday. And he said, I want you living in that mode where that is the way you operate. And to me, what catapulted me into what I call now my 13-week year, which is how do we get a month's worth of work done in a week? How do we get that efficiency so we stop doing all the other things and put a month's worth of stuff that really matters into a week so that we can create a week's worth of results, right? So we can have the kind of impact we want to have. And by the way, I think when I first was working with you, I said, give me your goal. And I said, now double it. And I was like, oh, that's really exciting. And then I said, what? Double it again. And what does double it again end up being? 4x, which is 4 quarters, which is 1 year per quarter, which is about 13 weeks, which is about 1 month per week, 4 years worth of results in 1 year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's a 13-week year, right? So it's simple, but it starts with this, because if you don't have the big, well, he left, the big, hairy, audacious goal, if you don't think like this, that's not going to happen. You're going to do the normal things, you're going to work your butt off, it's going to get minimal results or some results, and that's okay. I mean, you probably really enjoy it, because the good news is the numbers are so huge here. Gino?
Does any team in the NBA ever think they're not going to win the championship?
When they start off the year, everybody's got the same thought. This is our year. This is our year.
Why would you ever set a goal of not winning?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we don't need to start with the goal of mediocrity. Number 2 is, of course, this idea that I mentioned, which is taking massive action. And the thing that really occurs to me is that somebody asked me the other day, when you were around Tony, was there anything about Tony that told you he was going to be Tony? And I said, the dude just never quit. He was just relentless. Tony Robbins was just relentless. He would work longer, he made more calls, he was almost abusive because he was just on it, right? It was like, you're coming and you're gonna do this. I mean, it's like, it was just relentless. And while he learned how to be more softer and more real, the reality was it's that relentless part of him that is why Tony is where Tony is. Why, I say he's like a machine, but he's like a machine with a heart. I mean, he's got a huge heart for people, but he's like a machine. There's nobody I've ever met that's more by his standards and rules lives at that level. I've never seen anybody do it. I've never seen anybody who consistently does what they actually intend to do with every ounce of their energy. And when he was coming to take our gig with Brent, and he called me and said, listen, because I asked him through a video. I actually sent him a video and said, dude, I need you for a couple things. I got some big asks here. Big asks, not big ass. Not big ass. Big asks. And I said, and one of them was this thing for Brent. And he sent back not a video, but an audio text. And he said, I've got love, I've got grandkids, I've got wealth. And he went through the whole list of things he was grateful for and that he had. And he said, the one thing I don't have more of is time. And he said, I love you, so I'm going to do this. But you got to understand that that's when he's judging everything through the filter of, is this good for me? Is this where I need to be spending my time? Because I've already done it, right? Love that. So again, what are the habits that we need to create? And I'm just going to suggest to you that when you look back on your week, and maybe we'll have a couple minutes at the end just to say, like, what did you take away? But the thing I want you to remember is whatever it was, and you go, that was it. That was the thing right there. Then make that a habit. How do you make that a habit? How do you make that an everyday occurrence? How do you make not that as something like, wow, I did it for a day. I did it for an hour. I did it for a moment. How do I do that every single day, or whatever the pattern is for you, right? 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever that is, how do you make that your routine, that your habit? We're going to talk a lot about habits in just a second. But here's what Roan taught me a long time ago, which is you need to work harder on you than you do on your job, because in the end, you're the driver, and what we know is we're in a cause and effect world, are we not, Mr. Matt? Are we not in a cause and effect world?
Absolutely.
So in a cause and effect world, are we at the cause or are we at the effect?
Gotta make the cause. With the cause.
We are the cause.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not taking credit away from God. I'm just saying, working with the man himself, we are the cause. Because the man's working with everybody and it ain't working out for everybody, right? So it's not just... So we've got to put in the effort. We've got to put in the stuff. And it's really going to be about the habits we form. And so out of this room, this week, can you come up with 1, 2, at most 3 things that you will turn into new habits, behaviors, things, and you go, that's killer. I love the way Brent said that. Love the way Gene said that. Love the way that Kevin put that. I want to memorize that. I want to get that. I want to own that. I want to become that. I want to be that. So here's what it comes down to. When I was with Roan, this is the very first time. I'm 18 years old. I walk into a room, the Westin South Coast Plaza Hotel, Costa Mesa, California, chandeliers I'd never seen before, a hotel room I'd never been in before. I mean, I was not raised on that side of the tracks where I would have had that experience. I walk in, I'm totally impressed. I've got a stenographer's notebook, not the way these open, but the other way, stenographer's notebook, and I take 19 pages of notes. I'll give you 3 things he gave me that night that started me off. Number 1 is read a lot. Leaders are readers. If you want to impact people, Gene, how many books do you read a year? I mean, it's like every time I talk to you, you're reading another book, right? I mean, you want to know what it takes to succeed at a high level, it's reading a lot of books. I talked to Glenn. He's always got a frickin' other book, right? It's like, I'm trying to keep up with him, and I'm like, crap, I can't keep up with him. There's just no way to absorb. And he said to me one day, he said, you're going to look at what I do as not work. You're going to think, it looks a lot like thinking. And what that means is I've got time to read, I've got time to think, I've got time to process, because he's done so well that he's given himself that freedom, right? But we've got to spend time here. I took a speed reading course. Today it would be kind of different because we're reading and taking in information in so many ways. It's not just like books. And I'm more Audible. I mean, I'm on Audible now. And I just signed up for Blinkist this week. So Blinkist is 15 minutes. I mean, the books, right? 15 minutes. I want the Cliff Notes version taught by the people themselves. Second was The Strangest Secret, which I thought was really funny because when he described it, he said, it's on a 78 record.
You can find it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's available now. But it was really funny because I remember the 78 record, right? And he said, I wore the first one out and had to buy another one. So that's how, this is way, it goes way back, right? I just talked to, anybody ever heard of Nightingale Conant? That was the big personal development company with all the CDs and tapes and all that stuff. Vic Conant and I just had a conversation. His dad's best friend was Earl Nightingale. And then the last thing was keep a journal. Keeping a journal would be a very powerful part. Love the fact that many of you have journals. I don't know if that was, I think these maybe came, but Allison's got the journals. This is cool stuff, right? When you start having something. I've got a library except for 7 years worth, which I actually lent to my former partner for him to do some work, and unfortunately I never got him back. Except for that, I have 40 years of journals. I have 40 years of my thoughts. You want to know what it's like to be a little kid like this one and go up against the wall and go, measure me, and then they draw the line over your head, right? The journals are like that for adults. It just tells you where you were, the things you were saying, what was important to you at that time, like how were you thinking then, right? Pretty interesting. Here's what I also concluded this morning when we were talking to the group on Clubhouse, and that is life doesn't happen to you, and the fact we even think in victim terms, life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. The best part is life happens for you. I remember when I was leaving Roan's company, and it was like one of my darkest days because I could not imagine not being with my mentor and my friend in that environment, and I was quitting because his wife was running the show and started taking my job from me. And I hated every minute of it. And yet I know now, easy to see, if I hadn't done that, Hobbs Herder would have never existed. So in my darkest day, it was the door opening to the next part, right? It was the next chapter. And when I left there, or any of the things where a chapter ends, the next one opens. And guess what? The great news is it's not happening to you, it's happening through you. It's absolutely happening for you. And everything that we think is a train wreck, a disaster, it just opens up another possibility So just please look at the blessing in it. I mean, don't forget the lesson, but take the lesson, invest it into the future, and give yourself a chance. I put this up. It's a form that Russ and I have used for a number of years. It's called your personal growth plan, and I'm going to lay it out for you just to say you can do this on your own. All you need is a sheet of paper. I want you to take each month of the year and just give yourself, like, what would my plan be for developing me? If I'm the cause, if I'm living in a cause and effect world, I'm the cause to the extent that I want to grow myself, change my mindset, change the words I use, change anything, whether it's your health or your mindset or your physicality or anything. What's it going to take for you to do that? And what are the 4 things you're going to do in January that's going to make that happen? What are the 4 things you're going to do in February? What are the 4 things you're going to do in March? And come up with a little calendar of events, and then go put those on your calendar. Like maybe it's a course. I'm going to take Tony's program, or I'm coming to Puerto Rico to learn from this group, right? This would have been a personal growth thing. You're going to Napa. I'm going to qualify and go to Napa with Brent and go do this thing in Napa. It's going to be a heck of an event. I'm going to be ready for what is it? May is Phoenix? Is it Phoenix? It's Scottsdale. I mean, it's... Oh, they moved it. Okay. It was going to be February. Okay, cool. So, or by the way, we've got the one in August, which is where? With whom?
Congo or Dallas?
Dallas. With whom? Tony Robbins. So again, those things can all go in here. All those get credit for being my development. What books are you reading? What things are you doing? What conversations are you going to have? I'm going to research and get together with that guy. You know, one of my friends, Chaz Wilson, he wrote a book called 5+1. It's a pretty darn good book. But Chaz said something to me one day, and he said, you know, I used to admire these people, Andy Andrews and all these speakers who were, you know, big guys. And he said, I used to admire them. And he said, I realized that I started inviting them to lunch or inviting them to, you know, I'm going to be in town. Can I come by and see you? And he said, all of them were very cordial and always willing to share their information, their ideas, and whatever. He said, they were never too big for me. But he said, what happened was when I started to associate myself, when I started to make the bigger people my friends, I elevated myself to the same level. And suddenly, you know, the people that we are around, it impacts us. He said, when that group that I admired became my friend group, my life changed completely. So what we really need to do is put ourselves in a place where we're having the conversations, reading the books, taking the classes, and doing the things that are going to be most effective for us, that are going to change the way we think, act, and the beliefs that we hold moving forward, so that we can have not only the results, but also the fulfillment and joy. Because I know tons of people that have had very great success, and including myself at a level of like 42 years old, and did not have the enjoyment, the happiness, the peace, the joy. I was in total turmoil living in my house on the hill, right? So again, you've got to have all of it. So we do have stuff in there about peace and joy. This is the part where I think it gets really fun, and I'm going to really hit this hard, and then we're going to finish up with like a couple comments, and we'll be done. I have used for a lot of years sports. We love sports. We talk sports a lot. You were an athlete. I don't know who else was. I was until I stopped growing. I was I'm still going to win the ping pong championship today, but I'm just saying. Maybe not. We'll see. And I got a shot, but I got no game because I'm not Spud Webb. I could never jump high. So, but what I do know is this. I know that when I had tickets to the Lakers season tickets to the Staples Center, and Kobe was there for games, Kobe would get there at 3:30 in the afternoon for a 7:30 game. Now, why would he arrive 4 hours early? Why is that needed? Why are the other athletes coming later? So he's going in and he's doing shoot-arounds. He's practicing. Might be 1,000 free throws. Whatever it is, right? He's got his ritual. So I want you to think about, how does an athlete create momentum? How does a team create momentum? That's sometimes easier to see. But how does an athlete, how does a golfer create momentum out of nothing? I got a double bogey. I got to hold the round together. How do I pull that out? You forget the last shot, right? There's things you do. You watch Tiger. You watch his son. What's his name? What's his son's name? Charlie. Charlie. Did you see Charlie fist pump?
Just like me.
Just like Daddy, right? Bam! I got it. And there's the beginning momentum. So what I want you to do is start realizing we've got to create our own momentum. No matter what's going on, no matter how bad it gets, we've got to be able to create our own momentum and bring ourselves back from it. So I got a couple places to really think about where you want to generate energy, because again, it's about creating energy, right? Who's attractive? Energetic people or dead people? And I don't mean dead like dead, I mean people that live dead, right? So it's about having energy. So how do we expand our energy in these areas, right? How do we expand our thoughts? What are we doing? What's the plan for expanding our thoughts? And again, reading programs, things that we can get into, right? How do we expand our energy? So we have belonged to gyms. I belonged to LA Fitness when I was living in Austin. But Allison found this guy, online workout, right? And this guy was working out 5 days a week. I'm up to 4 days a week now. I was telling Fee, I'm like, I can't believe how gravity seems so much more severe than it used to. It's just crazy. I mean, I used to be able to sit down and just do 25 push-ups even when I was in bad shape, and now it's like, anyway, so, but how do you create energy? And it's going to be that. And now we've got the nutritionist, and Mandy sent us our meal plan, right? How do you create energy in a physical sense? How do you create a different physical experience where you are driving with more energy, you require less sleep? It's like that's not always a good thing, but you require less sleep. I know people that just are energized, and at 4 or 5 hours, they're up. I mean, I was laughing the other day with a guy, David Golden in Las Vegas, right? He's in my clubhouse at 4 a.m. his time. He's sitting there talking to us, energized. He said, I'm on my rebounder, right? He said, I'm on my rebounder. You can hear him kind of going up and down and talking to us. And I'm like, that's strong. But that's what you need to do to start expanding your thoughts, expanding your energy, expanding your relationships. By the way, either means deeper with the person in your world. It could mean with people. I mean, how important are relationships in our business? Everything. Should we be expanding more relationships? I love what Casey said. It's like we are taking on the task of recruiting, of helping somebody change their life. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Expanding your time. How do you expand time? How could you possibly expand time? We all have 24 hours. How do you expand time? Is it possible to expand time?
Consolidate it, make it more efficient.
So leverage. There was a woman that asked me a question, and she said, I'm struggling with this business I'm trying to start where I want to teach kids to do blah, blah, blah. And she said, I haven't had the time for it. I said, could you find 10 people who could teach kids for you, and you're the owner of the company? She goes, wow, I never thought of that. I've just leveraged her by tenfold, right? Now it's not her time. She can still be a professor, and she's got 10 people that are doing the business of the business. And by the way, if she gets paid 50%, that means she's 5x over what she would have earned if she'd done all the work herself.
Yeah.
So how do we expand time? We expand time through people, through our systems, through our structures. We expand time through every little detail of how we calendar things. And Russ and I, live by the age-old adage, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So truly, what are you putting on the calendar? The time blocks. I've been talking about this lately because I've been using my flex time. It's killing me. But in the calendar, you see these time blocks. Here's my prospecting, here's my whatever. And of course, success has changed some of this for the moment. Yet the reality is there's this time called flex time. And what is flex time? Flex time is when something interrupts the normal flow of the things you've dictated as being your most important priority of your calendars. Let me set a calendar up with the activities for success. Let me do the things that are necessary, put them into the calendar, and live by that. And every so often when something interrupts it, take that thing that's being interrupted, because you can't just leave it out, and put it into flex time. And now you're still hitting all your calendar items. The thing that I discovered for myself was if I could just hit the calendar and do what the calendar says, things always worked. And wherever the squirrel is for me, wherever the bright shiny object is for me, that's where it kills me. Glenn said to me 2 days ago, he said, the thing about that is its purpose. When you have purpose, you don't have squirrels. I was like, okay, I buy that. He said, when you have purpose, you don't have bright, shiny objects. Or you have less of them, right? When you have purpose, you have direction and focus. So what's your purpose is going to be a big part of it. And then the final part is how do you expand your money? Gene, how many people in the organization right now? Last count, last time you looked.
Close to 12,000.
Has he expanded his money through leverage? How many states are you paid in?
Every province, every country I know.
Every one of our countries that we're open in?
I think so, yeah.
How many like that? You want to expand your money? What if you were paid on every transaction being done in any state? So the states are having economic challenges. One goes up, one goes down. Welcome to the world of real estate. But how much does that impact Gene's organization? The answer is not much, because he's getting paid everywhere. Slows down here, it speeds up over here. There are markets right now that have been crazy, and other markets that have been fairly normal and kind of flat. Guess what? We're getting paid on 30, I think 32 or something like 31, 32. We're not at 50 yet, but we're going to get there. I love that. So how do you expand? You build and expand in each of those areas, and those 5 are my favorite 5. But the thing now is I want to give you just this thought, because again, the athlete in the world says, I got game time. And what was your ritual? Like, what are the things? I watch these guys walk in. If I'm watching the basketball playoffs, which I did as the Lakers won again, how awesome was that? As the Lakers walk in and LeBron James walks into the arena, he's got headphones on. I guarantee he's had a ritual up to that point. It may be that he's going through, I don't know what he's listening to, but I'm guessing it's either music or it's a psychologist that's in his head about something he's dealing with. He's getting there, he's working out, he's getting taped up. Everything is identical, right? Every single game. Do you have a ritual when you're playing a game?
When I was playing yeah.
Right.
Every single thing, very habitual, in my athletes I train, same thing.
Same thing. So what if we start with game time? What time is game time for you? You have to know 2 things. What time is game time, and then what time is your start time? So game time is what? What does game time equate to for us?
Wake up.
No, not wake up.
Making the calls.
Game time is I'm in business. This is my moment. You go for a walk on the beach. You're not in business at 6:30. You're not in work for, I'm not sure when. Brent just told me I'm starting now at, I think he said 11 o'clock, or I forget what his start time is. But game time is later because he's in Puerto Rico. He's got some hours to flex, right? So now game time is a certain time. What time is it for you? What's game time? Once you've got game time figured out, everything else happens before that. So there's 2 numbers. What is game time? What are your game days, by the way? And again, is that 5 days a week? Is that 6 days a week? Is that 7 days a week? 4 days a week? So how many games are you playing each week? And then what is game time? Get those 2 things down. I work Monday through Friday. I don't work weekends. I work Monday through Thursday. I only work 3 days a week. Whatever it is, I don't care. I had a gal who's still working with us at EXP. She's been with me for like 26 years. And Rhonda called me one day and said, I want to go from 4 days on the road down to 3. I said, I don't have a problem with that as long as you get the results. She called me later and said, I want to go from 3 days a week to 2 days a week. I said, I really don't care as long as you get the results. Eventually she said, I'm just going to go out on Mondays, come back on Tuesday nights. I'll be gone 1 day. I said, as long as you get the results, I don't care. And she arranged herself such that she got the results in 1 day. What difference does it make? Why use more time when less is fine? The reality is we just have to know how many games we're playing so we can prepare. And then the second thing is we need to know what time is game time. When are we on? Right? When do we flip the switch and say, and that's why the guys hate TV time, right? Because the TV games, when it's like it's running 20 minutes over and they're not going to let you start on time, and they're like, I'm in the zone right now. I'm not in the zone in 20 minutes. I'm in the zone now. Right? That's why game time is so important. Are you ready for game time? And then it comes down to these things. Rituals for those 5 or 6 days a week or 4 days, whatever it is. What are your morning rituals? What's your morning momentum questions? How do you generate your own momentum? How do you ask yourself questions that the mind clicks in? How do you create momentum in energy? Now, I've got different things I do. I wake up now and I've got my, Russ was saying, my water with lemon in it, right? So the warm water with lemon. And then I've got, a little bit of meditation time, a little bit of prayer time. But for the most part, then I'm dropping in. I'm trying to stay away from business stuff until game time. Because the normal habit is roll out of bed, look at the phone, and then what happens? I'm on whose schedule? Somebody else's. I'm in whose priority? Somebody else's. So if we can keep it so we've got our own thing, energize your mornings, do whatever it takes, visualize, practice. I mean, do athletes practice? Do athletes visualize? What's the old, you probably know this, Gene, the story, hey buddy, the story of the team, the high school team, it was for shooting free throws, and half the team was not shooting free throws, they were visualizing shooting the free throws. What was the deal?
Yeah, the team with the visualization had
The higher gain of higher free throw percentage, the highest gain against their former skills. Absolutely. And why is that?
You can visualize it beforehand. I mean, you see it in your mind.
You can visualize it perfectly. When you have a reality, you go, oh, boy, I shanked that one. I mean, that was a brick, right? Yeah. And you're going, how bad was that? We're talking to ourselves about what doesn't work. When you're in perfect form in your mind, you're like, swish, swish.
There's no such thing as muscle memory. Everything starts in the brain.
Starts in the brain. That's exactly right. So I've got two things here. I'm happy to get them for you guys. I don't know if we've still got these up, but we have these forms for you. And if you guys give me your, send me a text or whatever, I'll hit you back with these files. This is the morning questions. They were taken in part from Tony, and then I developed them into something more probably about 5 years ago. And these are the questions that start to focus your day on the gratitude and the creation of the day that you want. So what am I most excited about? That's a great question. Oh my God, why is it morning? Oh my God, how come I have to get up so early? Those are not the right questions, right? Those are not the questions that inspire. So what am I most excited about in my life today? What's the best part about being me right now? That focuses on gratitude, on like how energized could I possibly be? That's exciting stuff. By the way, what am I committed to in my life right now? That might take me into a whole different set of action, thought process, all of that. What can I do to move a decision forward? What decision will I make today? What have I been holding back on? What have I been screwing around with? What am I here to do today? To touch the lives of 10 people? Remember the old story about putting pennies in this pocket that I shift over to this pocket as I talk to 10 people? And what if we thought about it, 10 lives I'm going to change? I'm going to take one from here. There's one I had. Great call there. Well, there's another one. Keep moving them over. Like a Trello card, right? Just move them over. Who do I love and who loves me? Right? Great questions that get us into action. And by the way, then the evening questions are equally impressive, and that is, these are the things that really bring up what we did for the day, and by the way, put our minds in a great place. Julian Sato showed up on the call today on Clubhouse. And Julian, of course, is a master of the mind, just a great guy with the mind. And he said he's programming tomorrow when he goes to sleep. He said, I'm just working on tomorrow. In the moments I'm going to sleep, I'm already thinking about what tomorrow's going to look like. And so questions like, was I a giver today? What did I give? Right? That really programs, like, was it a good day? Give yourself a rating. What learning experience did I create today? What did I take from the experience? Don't just make it a disaster. I'll learn from the disaster. Yeah, it was a train wreck, but the good news is I can fix it, don't have to do it again. Or let's just repeat, rinse and repeat, and do that all the time. Has today added to the quality of my life? By the way, for the last 3 days, has it added to the quality of your life, your decisions about being here? And how will my investment in today pay greater dividends in my future? Rowan used to say that the most important thing you could do is invest the present into the future, the past learnings into your future. Everything is about building into your future. That's how we change. So I got a couple things for you. One is Success World Download. We'd love to have you guys come into Success World. So this looks a lot like that world that we know as EXP World, but it's not EXP World. It's a completely different world called Success World. And you'll see it looks a lot like Disneyland for adults who like personal growth. There's posters on the walls. It looks really cool. You've been in there, right? Yeah. Have you been in, Gene? I got to take you in there, man. It's really cool. And we're not even done landscaping it with the stuff that's going to happen in all the classrooms. It's really energizing. People are coming in and really loving it. We've only invited a few people. We've probably got 1,000 people that even have the download yet. But when you start to watch 600 to 800 people wandering around, going to classes, having all kinds of stuff, and it's all happening. And by the way, what does that mean to you? That means that you've got an asset you can possibly drop people into, because we're doing free stuff nonstop. Today, as we were starting here, Glenn was teaching a class live and in person in our auditorium called the Success Auditorium. So every single day, I want to give you two things. Every single day at hour 8, East Coast 7, 4 on the West Coast, so wherever you live, figure it out. I'm doing a Clubhouse event. So get your butt in there. People tell me, like I've hung out in Clubhouse for hours the last few weeks. This is the best one. Like, it's energizing, it's exciting, it's fun. Russ is with me. Tony Rodriguez is there with me. And we've got a couple other people joining us that are spectacular. On Clubhouse, every Monday night, we're doing a thing called the Monday Mindset Mastermind. And Glenn and me, we had Tom Ziegler there last week. We're killing it. We're going to have a lot of cool people in there. Once a week, about 1 hour long. We're not letting these rooms drag out and just become conversational and everybody sticks around forever and goes, wow, that was fun. I want people to get energized and get the hell out of there and go do something. I tell them that in the morning. I'm like, we're going to do 1 hour. It may go an hour and 10, but it's not going to go 3 hours. You're going to get out of here and go take action on the steps that we just talked about, right? So get in there with us. Every day at 12:30 here, 8:30 West Coast, more reasonable on the West Coast, we are doing what we're calling our daily stand-up. And every day we're leading people through a system for achievement. We're calling it the Success Achievement System. And in there we're using the Trello boards, and we're using a defined system that Glenn has been using to run EXP, to go through his other companies, Verbella, and now Success. And I will tell you, since I've been there since day one of Success, every day we have a stand-up meeting. Every day we do in our team what we're doing now for the public. Every day you come in and we'll run your business with you. Every day you come in and you're the ones that's going to move the chart along. You're the one that's going to move your goals along. You're the one that's going to take the actions. You're the one that's going to be able to see it, but we're going to hold you accountable every single day, 5 days a week. How much does it cost? Nothing. Right? Pretty cool stuff. Every day.
You mentioned 3 different programs, right?
Yep.
Can you repeat the times? Or?
Yeah, so 8:30 in the morning. Where are you, Hernan? We're east. So 7:30 in the morning. 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
7 o'clock in the morning Eastern. 7 Eastern. Clubhouse. 5 days a week. Of course, there's no charge.
You guys watch David Golden dance.
Exactly.
Clubhouse is only for iPhone, right?
What's that?
It's for Apple Clubhouse, or it's because I couldn't download it.
It's iPhone.
It's iPhone only right now.
You can't get in there?
No.
God, you got to get a real phone, man. You got to get a real phone. That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I will.
No, I'm sorry.
An iPad.
They're coming, but it's not.
Coming for Android too?
They're going to get the Android soon, I'm sure. I've listened to the owners talking about it. I know they're working on it. Of course, it's costing them, 40% of the market or whatever it's costing them, but they're killing it right now.
60% of them.
I don't think so. I think it's just the old timers that can't switch.
I have BlackBerry.
You still got a Crackberry? Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so 7 a.m. Every weekday, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, every 7 a.m. East Coast, we're in the Clubhouse. You can't be there, but the rest of you can. Every day at 12:30 here, 11:30 East Coast, you're going to be in Success World, and you're going to be in the Success Auditorium, and you're going to hear either from me, Glenn, or Kendra Hall, or one of our team, somebody. Monday through Friday. Yep. And there's a video inside dreambuilders.com. There is not yet an app. Well, you get into, yes. We don't have our own app. You're in Mighty Networks. So we'll have our own app for it, but right now we do not. So go to Mighty Networks, you get the app. But go online, go into dreambuilders.com. It's a free, it's our version of, instead of putting everything into Facebook, we don't want to put everything into Facebook where people are leaving. And right now there's so much political crap going on. we wanted to put it into a safe zone, and we're building our own, and it's called Dream Builders. So dreambuilders.com, go in there, subscribe, and in there you're going to find a group that says Success Achievement System Stand Up. Go in there and just become a member of the group, and you're going to see a video from Glenn that's 17 minutes long. He'll teach you exactly what the process is.
So is dreambuilders.com yours and Allison's group? Or is
No, this is all success.
all success?
All
Okay.
success, right?
11:30.
11:30 East Coast. Yep. And then everybody just needs to go in and download this thing, right? So you can get into success. We've got people coming in and do programs that are going to blow your mind. We've got a lot of people that are going to be in there and rubbing shoulders. I've talked to our friend Mark Victor Hansen, Tom Ziegler. We're going to have a whole bunch of people that are like the biggest names in the world. They're all going to play with us in this world. They all love it. And so we'll have a lot of people in there. We've got 6 new editors that are brilliant young people, 42, 43 and younger, that are bringing great stuff on money, on success, on social media, on whatever. And they're all going to be hanging out with us and doing that stuff. And so we've got a lot of cool things happening, but all that stuff's free. So again, just hang out with us, be in those places. It's a great way to stay connected. The one thing I notice with coaching clients is if I meet them once a week, they might stay on track for a day, 2 days, 3 days, but if they drift, they've got 4 days off track. If we have a daily stand-up and there's the pressure of tomorrow I've got to show up and tell them I did or didn't do something, we get more shit done, right? We just get more shit done. So come in every day and be with us, okay? So in the end, there's a couple things I want to just say. Number one, you got to think big. It's all about the thinking behind it dictates the results we're going to get. The thinking behind it creates the actions we will take. The thinking behind it dictates how we will see the possibilities. Will we see what's possible for Gene is for Gene only or possible for any of us? What I love, thank you, Gene, so much for your leadership. What Gene has said several times is, somebody right here is going to beat me. They're going to be bigger than I am. Allison's all in. I mean, I believe it, right? I mean, it's going to happen. And I love the humble spirit, and I love the fact that you're helping us do it. Like, there's no protectionism. It's like, no, let's do this thing. Let's really change the world because we want to have 1 million agents. We can't do that like playing small ball. We got to play big ball, right? So I absolutely thinking big, massive action, and the number of calls, the number of things that are going on. I love the fact that they're out there working you. I saw them out there working. You got taking the call, making the call. Like there's stuff going on here. They're like working Gene, right? Massive action. Why do you think Russ is showing up right now with results that most people don't see? Massive action. We can't keep him pinned down. He's making margaritas and goes makes the call. I mean, he makes margaritas and goes makes the call, right? It's like he's just killing it. For what reason is he succeeding? Because of this. And the final piece is live large, guys. We've got a great chance. This is not a vacation spot. This is where we live. But it's not just us that has that chance, you know? You got it from somebody else that shared it with you. I mean, I was talking to Davin when Davin the other day was in my clubhouse, and he started off right away with a pitch. He goes, "Yeah, we live in Puerto Rico. It's awesome. You guys should come down here." And I was like, "There goes 2 more houses." I mean, there's another couple places that are going to get off the market quickly because he keeps moving people down here. This isn't a reality just for us. This is a reality for anybody. The tax advantages for anybody. This is what's possible. And by the way, if not here, Costa Rica, if not here, Panama, if not here, like there's a lot of cool places. And by the way, Glenn said, I'm going to stay where I'm living right now. I don't mind paying taxes. I'm just making more money. There's another thought. There's a big thought, right? I want you guys just to realize that we have a chance. You know, we were doing the what's the thing in the sprint in Dallas. And I said, guys, do you understand where you are right now? And I don't mean Puerto Rico. I mean, do you understand where we are? Do you understand where you came into this thing like at agent 6, whatever.
3,000.
Were you 3,000? Okay, I didn't know it was that many. But you came in at that early stages. Someday we're going to laugh and go, remember those days when, Gene, the stories of showing the Panera, what was it? Corner Bakery, right? The pictures, and there he is with the managers and the Corner Bakery, the first office in Austin. I mean, like, we're the history of the company. You had 42,000 agents. We're the history of the company. You're the history of India. Do you understand where you are today? Like where we are is the middle of the frickin' explosion called EXP. We're in the middle of the thing that will change the industry forever. Forever. I mean, we're changing the industry. We're not changing a few lives. We're changing the industry. We're changing the way people think. We're changing what's possible. We're making it. I mean, Glenn said to me one day, he said, I want to make it so that there's no other option. Like, why would anybody go anywhere else besides EXP? It'd just be like stupid. We have that power. I don't know what the valuation, the company valuation, but if the stock went up over 90, I'm sure we're close to $6 billion. It did? So $6.5 billion? So we're at a $6.5 billion valuation. Do you know how much power we wield? Do you know what we can do with that? Do you know what we can buy, what we can do? Do you understand that we're not playing small ball? And Glenn's not playing small either. I'm telling you, this guy is like crazy in his thoughts. Crazy in his thoughts. And you've got Gene, who's one of the biggest thinkers I've ever seen. I love the way this man's mind works. I love being around you. And I'm telling you guys, we are in a place that most people would die to be, but they don't understand it or they'd be here. And we have the opportunity to bring them. So I'm super excited about everything that's gone on this week. I'm super excited about who I see in the room. I'm super excited about the people that were here and what you guys just did, what you did, what Michael and Jay did yesterday. I mean, what Brent did. I mean, you know, and by the way, living around these people, being around these people, do you think it matters who you hang around? Do you think it matters at all? Do you think it matters a little? Do you think it matters a lot? A lot. I'd suggest you guys get around more often. Thank you.
Yeah.